before the Click, there was a group called MVP.
Yes.
And you're not on that. I don't know if you're rapping or singing or involved in that. But
I'm on there, but we were there. We weren't the Click at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were doing
So
like
I was
vocals
with
on there?
I was with another partner named Spice. She's my friend too, my best friend, up to date. Her name is Spice. We were called Sugar and Spice and Nothing Nice.
That's
like
a great title.
yeah. So we did a song called Biker Season. Yeah, it had the Jamaican funk beat. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
Yeah, dun, dun, Yeah.
So this is while they were doing MVP, you had your own group.
Yeah, with them though. We were a group. We were all like this whole posse.
Okay.
And then we just came together as the Click when I got pregnant, and my partner, not partner like my girlfriend, like like my best friend partner, like, you got to be careful with your words. So, because there's so many different lifestyles, and I'm not talking about the lifestyle of having a girl relationship, so, you got to make that clear.
Sure.
So me and my best friend, Renee, she was Spice. So she didn't want to move forward in it. She wanted to be more in a domestic space, which is great because she actually did very well in life. Matter of fact, she retired now. She worked for the government, in IRS for years, and she held it down. But both of us coming from being teen moms, and she wanted that space. So we ended up separating, and that's where I started kind of getting in trouble, and at that time I was kind of headed towards destruction again in a different way. And so my brothers was like, we got together and they're like, we need to connect. So I helped find the Click. So we were like together, like, you need to stay out of trouble. I'm keeping you out of trouble. You come be with me. And that's where we were like, she rocking with us.
Got you. Because so Be Legit kind of broke it down there, like that MVP album is kind of like some Run DMC influence, like not necessarily the most authentic version of who you guys were at the time.
Right.
Whereas like that first Click EP, The Left Side, there was a Vogue on the cover and some money, and it was kind of like more honest about what y'all were experiencing in like the streets at that time, and which was kind of rare to bring that perspective of the streets of Vallejo onto a record.
Yes.
But once you guys found that identity, it started working for y'all.
Yeah, definitely. And, that's kind of the same, when you starting at the beginning, like the majority of my records that I was on, I was drunk as a skunk. My first records, like the Billy, not Billy, the It's All Good album, my first album, it was all party to me, just fun. I still got a little bit out, more so showing my talent, but that wasn't the best of me. You know what I mean? That was the, coming into figuring out who my solo me was. So
yeah. Also something really interesting is that you and 40 have like very similar styles on those first albums.
Yeah, we do.
Where did that come from?
He's a great influence for us. Like we modeled after our brother, our big brother. So I think it's innate, and definitely modeling behind his style, because he taught us how to lay it in the pocket, how to do the ad libs and the doubles and, the talk backs and, so that's where it came from. Yeah.
And he was kind of, as you guys were doing the group thing, he was already kind of bubbling on a solo with like the Mailman and like the Federal album. And
well, we all were there also on his album too, so we were bubbling with him. There's a song on there called FedEx. He said he's just a time a name ringing, major factor FedEx, high power lawyers and a young nigga having his bread. Let him know, man. Let him know, boy. Yeah.
Very
so,
nice.
We were still together. We just picked times to put our solo albums out. Everybody did it different. So like Billy Bad, Street Life was already recorded. And then we had to redo Street Life after we got signed. We co-ventured with Jive. But, there was songs that were out, and stuff we had already put out that we changed up in the 90s, where that's where people kind of get it confused, because some of the stuff was re-released in the 90s because we had to get clearances, and some people didn't clear stuff, and so we had to kind of rearrange some things because we were going commercial and everybody was trying to prevent lawsuits, and stuff like that.
And your debut album is It's All Good. Was that before the Jive deal or after?
Before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was kind of set up for y'all to have the group, but then there's 40 solo album, there's Be Legit solo album, there's your solo album, and then there's D-Shot's solo album. And
yes.
You mentioned earlier that like St. Charles was kind of giving y'all the blueprint on how to push the music. So you were each taking responsibility for the business side too.
Yes. So Billy Badass was my first hood hit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Billy Badass. Remember that?
Yeah, I was doing my research on that.
He thought he had game, but he was lame. He was lame to the game. Yeah. So that was my first hood hit, but solo hood hit. But remember, before that, when we had our first albums all together, before 40 solo album with the MVP, I think I'm saying it in the right order, MVP, we were on the Most Vicious Players. That's what we called ourselves, Most Vicious Performers, Most Vicious Players. They played around with it. But we were all on that album together. So I had the Sugar and Spice song on there. So that was my first Sugar and Spice debut. We're going to do one too. We're going to do a video to it and re-release it.
Yeah.
I got it. But yeah.
I saw another interview where you were saying that Billy Badass song, like you were inspired to write that after getting shot?
Yes. Yep. I was inspired to write it after I got shot. There was a situation where, my brother put out the documentary. So, that was, if people want to learn more, they can go look at that. But yeah. Yep. Unnecessary roughness,
Unnecessary
jealousy.
roughness.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it with D-Shot too.
Yeah. And just became, jealousy, and just became more aware that, this is a problem, violence. So to this day, I stand for violence, violence prevention.
So that song kind of has a message about somebody who's just doing the wrong thing.
Just being ignorant and foolish and just out there acting a fool, for no reason, and, trying to be Billy Badass. But it's lame, lame to the game, because when you grow into who you are and, purpose, and, you realize that, wait a minute, why am I doing this, tearing up my own neighborhood or my own space or killing my own people, or... You know what I mean? There's other ways to resolve violence. It shouldn't just be one way. That to me is cowardly.
Right.
When you got to just run to a gun. Back in the day, we used to knuckle up. I love to put my, fight, and eventually you learn that, okay, there's a way that you don't even have to fight. It's like, that's unnecessary, so, but you go through your times in your neighborhoods where you're getting bullied, or, sometimes you got to prove your point and get people off you, or let them know where you stand, or somebody's trying to hurt somebody around you or whatever. And you got to protect yourself and protect them. But overall, there's a lot of things that we could prevent, that don't have to escalate to violence. You know what I mean? So,
I think that's one good thing about y'all music is like you're able to take like real life lessons from the reality of the streets, but then put it onto the music where there's like something you can learn from it. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a pistol carrying, back in the day, carrying.
You reached in the purse. I was like,
where for protection.
For sure.
For protection, not to run around being a bully.
Right. Big difference.
And, people get hurt when they got a gun on them, and it's just don't make sense to me. So, we gotta, so that was a representation of that way back, and I'm still the same way. We need love, in this life, and it just doesn't make sense.
Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay. Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay.